Crack open my Heineken. Ooh, it smell like dope. I gotta have it fresh, so I go to the Saints Club.
Started right
Okay.
there. All right, so we back in here, rocking red, back in the house. We not even finna let it go. We going in on it raw, like a 40-year-old just out there, just ooh, I'm trying to do the do. We going in it raw.
Yeah. I know. Good
But
analogy.
now, now finish that.
Well, no, that's not even it, but we'll start there. I was just saying that the guy who owns the Ritz, we finally got around to doing his house today. I remember on the last podcast you were saying you hadn't been able to do this roofing job because of the weather after I
Yeah,
watched.
and I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yeah. But what's funny is I talked to you on like podcast number 1 or 2 about how I got money from the guy who owns the Ritz, and it's literally been more than 2 months, and we finally got around to doing his job. But they had to gut. This wasn't supposed to happen. They ended up gutting the entire house, and I didn't know any of that was going on. And I walked in, I go, "What the hell?" They go, "A pipe burst." They were going to sell this house anyway. But a pipe burst, and then the dude just decided, I'm gonna just gut this whole thing because I have to, and he's redoing the entire thing. So what we're doing on his pool is actually very minuscule and
compared to all that.
But there's all that. The reason I even said that is because there's all that insulation and stuff. There's other guys in there knocking everything down. So my allergies. I was outside the whole time, but when I had to go inside, I could imagine. That's just
all right. So like I've been having like little critters up there, and I deal with them every winter. I ain't got time for the little critters. They come every winter when it get cold. Like they literally come when the freeze come, and like so I knew they was gonna come. So they came back. I can't figure out where they getting in. So they got in, and I guess whatever fleas or whatever's on them, like it was in the installation. So the ceilings, I'm taking the ceiling down in the hot tub room. My hot tub's gone. Like hot tub ain't coming back to like 2024 probably. Like
what kind of ceilings do you have? Is it just regular ceilings, or is it like
sheetrock? I mean,
drop ceiling?
Yeah.
Drop ceiling?
Yeah.
No, that's what I thought. I remember seeing the hot tub room on Facebook.
Yeah, so it's regular sheetrock. I mean, you just seal it up, and I got dehumidifiers in the room. You know, it's dehumidifiers that I use for the job, so it sucks the moisture out pretty quick. It's not nothing worse than a shower would be. So, you know, when you got dehumidifiers in the room, it's a whole thing that I came up with. Like, if somebody want a hot tub in the room, I got you. I'm gonna break it down for you. While you put a couple of 2 dehumidifiers in the room with you, and man, as soon as you bam, like get out of there within 30 minutes, all the moisture sucked out the room. It's probably gonna be drier in that room than it is in other rooms. But I'm a geek with it. I got it down to a science. But but the installation and the dust got me, so it didn't hit me till like this morning. And of course, I was supposed to be on the phone, and I didn't. But this is like the first time when I like really supposed to be down, I didn't. But like, sorry, I can make it up. But I was literally like coughing and sneezing, and like just woke up like with the Barry Whites, just like.
That's the best time to get on the phone. When I used to have to get on the phone for like in my jobs, sometimes when I had that sick Barry White voice, which I don't have now, but I can if I were to be sick and talk like this, like I am right now, slowly and be sick, it would be a good voice. I'm just messing with you, man. I'm sorry, but I have to, man.
It's all good, bro. Hey, but it is what it is. Like, you know, I ain't tripping. Like, I'll say I can.
Shout out to Barry White from Galveston, first of all.
You know what? Talking about that, I went to the house he was raised in about 6 weeks ago. I know bull. Straight up, it was like I was supposed to go to the house behind it, but it was like the wrong thing on Google Maps, and it took me to the house at Barry White. I'm not lying, bro. Went to that house. It's like a shotgun long house in Galveston. I went to the house like 6 weeks ago.
What else would it be? That's all. I mean, of course, back then.
I found it out from the man who had the house in front of him. He had it for like, you know, like 50-some years. The man was like 70. He knew Twyman. Shout out to Twyman. And
somewhere off Broadway.
Yeah, my family. Everybody in Galveston.
Off Broadway.
Know my family. Shout out to Twyman family in Galveston. Everybody know Mr. Twyman. Rest in peace. but yes, he knew Mr. Twine and he knew my family. So he was like 70, 80 years old. So he knew the whole Barry White house. And I went to it by mistake because it was directly behind his, and Google took me to that one. And when I showed him the picture, he said, "Oh no, that's the house Barry White grew up in." I said, "The what?"
Yeah,
that house famous.
A lot of people don't recognize how many legends came from Galveston as far as that vein is concerned. You got Barry White, you got Jack Johnson, of course, you got Brumman.
Brumman from the fifth floor.
You know that, right?
Brumman from the fifth floor. Yeah, from the fifth floor. Yeah, he's from the fifth floor. Brumman from the fifth floor. He's from the fifth floor.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
And did you also know, you probably knew this too, that DMX filmed that Party Up in Here video in Galveston, right?
I didn't know that. No.
You know what I'm talking about. You know when they robs the bank? You've seen that video, and they stand in front of that big building. That's that big Bank of America tower in Galveston. They filmed it there.
Didn't know that.
And he picked up, and another very little known fact is he pulled up to those projects called I can't remember what they were called, and bought Sherm before he did that video in the limo.
Brian, where did you get the Sherm fact from?
Somebody from Texas City. Shout out to Texas Prison Stories, who is my friend on Facebook and who also has a YouTube channel. It's from Mark.
What's it like? Drink Champs like cocaine stories. I want the Sherm stories. I want who was smoking sticks, who was smoking the green monsters, because it was a thing. Like, I was there. I'm not gonna even act like I wasn't there. I was there in the 90s. Like it was certain homeboys. I ain't gonna say no names, but you know them. But yeah, I didn't smoke a couple sticks back in the days, man. And for some reason, our thing was to smoke sticks and skip school and watch like Dolomite and Bite It. I don't know why. We would do some of the weirdest. I think it was just like the hood in us. Like, man, shout out, rest in peace to Justin. That's my dog.
There's something I've never done. That's something I've never done before. But I remember going to my bus stop at the corner of my street and Justin Street. And Justin, let me tell you this. Let me not get off track. I'm going to stay on this one. But I think the only time and the first time I saw anybody smoke Sherm was at the bus stop getting on the school bus. And I'll never forget seeing a couple dudes do that at my bus stop because I had the live bus stop and Justin and them, or really I ran. But a bunch of people would come down to my bus stop and I'm like, these dudes are smoking. And I'm young. And these guys did that and got on the school bus. And then I've heard and seen all of these things that people do when they're on Sherm. And I've never done it and I don't want to, but I'm like, it seems like you wouldn't be able to get on the school bus and go to school after that. But it's a disassociative, right? I mean, I guess that explains everything, why you'd want to sit and watch a movie or maybe get naked and start punching windows out of
I never had, the bad trips off of it. The only bad trip I ever had, it was trying to do some really, really gully gangster stuff and then smoking a stick before it, and it was like, why do we do that? Like, now we're paranoid about selling guns and buying drugs. Like it's already a paranoid thing to do, but to make yourself even like self more, because that drug makes you seriously paranoid. Like, so now we're sitting there watching the Connect at the phone booth calling us, and we won't answer the phone. We won't answer. This is in pagers and cell phone time. So we got pager and a cell phone. We ain't answer neither. We're watching, but we're so paranoid. And then when we actually get the Connect and we got it, we're still so paranoid. We don't even do nothing. But we're already there. Like, I don't even understand. It's like getting butt naked with a prostitute and touching genitalia and saying, I ain't never hit it. Like, you might as well had. You already there. But we were so paranoid we didn't. But that's what I mean. Like, you shouldn't do important things, including criminal things. I'm not even gonna say criminal things because I'm not. But don't do important things and do drugs. Like, no. Like, be clear.
It's hard for me to say because I've never experienced that drug, and again, but it was around, and again, Yeah, but when you said something earlier, I have to give you just a quick Justin story because you said it. I was on the school bus with Justin. Again, Justin was I was a freshman. He was like a senior, and he didn't normally ride the school bus, but one day he did. And I'll never forget that fool pulled out a cell phone in the early 90s on the bus and called somebody. And that was just that's I have little snippets of Justin that I want to give you over time.
The bus because he fucking rode the car. He rode to school with me. Like when did he ride the bus? When?
We all had pagers, but I was like,
bus.
this dude got out a something like a Nokia phone. This was like 93 or something.
Okay,
and
like
I'm
we
just-
had all right, so he started messing with I don't know who, some I'm not gonna name this white girl, so I'm just gonna say she was a Caucasian girl. So she was giving out cell phones. So we was literally selling cell phones like in 94, 93, and like getting Nokia cell phones from somebody. Like they was giving us phones for selling them. Like, bro, we always came up on stuff like that. So that was legit. Like, yeah, all right. So I know we had the Nokia phones, like for real. Like we had boxes of them, and like we was pushing them. Like
I think it was a Nokia. It was. I mean,
it was actually man,
maybe
not
not.
Nokia.
No, I don't know if Nokia
No,
was even out yet.
I'm from
No, no, no.
Houston Cellular. Houston Cellular. Houston
That's
Cellular.
right. Yeah, I went about
Houston
5 or
Cellular.
6 years ahead.
Yeah. It was
That
Houston
was-
Cellular. It was Houston Cellular.
This was super early. I mean, this was
Because when I got back, it was like, man, like all I know is like, yeah, we was pumping with the phones, like we was getting like 50 phones in a box, like it's retarded, like man, stuff like that just happened when we was young. I don't even understand why. I still to this day don't understand why. I couldn't make nothing like that happen, like in a million years right now. Like
you're
when we
going
was
to lead me
young,
right
it
into
was
my
just
story.
like crazy, man. Like next
Yeah.
thing you know, somebody giving us phones, like sell them, and we're gonna give you minutes. And like, the more phones you sell, the more minutes you got. And like, what? All right. And like, it's just like now I'm doing the same. I hadn't changed nothing since I've been 16. I've been roofing and rapping and selling stuff. That's all I've been doing.
So it's, at that point, did you have a cell phone? Because I didn't get one.
Yeah,
until
I had
maybe,
one that like, I had one. The first cell phone I got was from
I got one in
Justin.
like 99, I think, maybe.
96.
I got one in 99.
96 when I came back.
Yeah.
All right, so we had the phones when I left, but I left. I went to New Orleans. I went to Atlanta, and then I moved to Alabama, and I was like common law married for a minute, and she faked the pregnancy on me, and then I came back to Texas. That was 96. And when I got back in 96, he was still messing with the girl, and it was Houston Cellular, and he hit me with like a 50 pack of phones when I got here. And so like it's like $50 a phone, and he give you a phone, and for every phone you sell, you get 200 minutes. And you know what I'm saying? It's the hood. You know, you selling them, you hooking them up. All you gotta do is call her. I don't know how it was, man. It was rolling. That's all I know. I sold
that was old school, like
it was like I got
you
the
said
hookup
Houston
type stuff.
Cellular, which Houston Cellular turned into what? Maybe GTE, which turned into like what AT&T,
Something like that. I couldn't even tell you that
or something.
I don't even want to know how to like the.
My first phone was through.
I just
GTE.
remember it was crazy, yeah. But it was like the gray flip phones with the green, like you know, like the MS-DOS looking screens. You know what I'm saying? There was those, but they was little flip phones, man. And like I still had minutes when like I say, when I left, I wasn't here, but maybe 9 months, bro. And I sold like 600 phones, like bro. To the point that when I left and went to New Orleans, I still had that phone, and then I brought another phone when I got to New Orleans. But like I say, I went back. I was always frequent in Houston and New Orleans. It was just when I was in my hustle modes. That's when you know what I'm saying? That was just what it was. It was back then, but it was crazy the stuff that used to happen, man. Like that's why I say he was like a bishop. He was that live wire. Like you, like just hanging around Justin, bro. Like it's somebody to go down, bro. Somebody to go down. You can't hang around them 3 days without something popping off. Like it was always capable. And like when we was crewed up, it was like every day, bro. It was just like every day, all four of us in it, and that's just what we did. And but it's crazy now, like to think about it, like the type of money and stuff we used to do, like them $1,500 weekends, bro. Like then you have kids, and you be like $1,500.
I now like this is a good time because for me to give you, just because my memories of Justin are just like everybody has memories. They're just little snippets of things that I experienced, because I didn't hang out with him every day, but he was an associate in my life, because I've been to his house and with Iran, and I've been around weird shit that stuck in my mind. Not even weird, just the things that, like I said, I'll never forget being on the bus when he pulled out his cell phone. I'll never forget walking to the store. I don't know if I was walking to the store or just walking around the neighborhood one day when I was like 12, maybe 13, around maybe the same time. And Justin rode up on a bike, like a little bike, like a BMX bike with a backpack on. And he pulled up on me on my street and he goes, "I got that killer." And he opened up his backpack and he had sacks of weed in there. And this was way before I had even done that. And I go, "I'm good, man. I just appreciate, I'm good. I appreciate you, man." But he was like, rolled around. That was what he was doing at that point. And
Yeah.
that day or whatever. And
That
we were
day,
probably
that
younger, I don't know, that this was probably before he was like 18 or 19. I don't think,
Most of our
he had to
stuff
be
was,
younger.
bro, like our worst stuff. We was 16. Our worst stuff. We was
Maybe
like,
he was 16 at that point. That's
yeah.
plausible.
We're the same age. We
Because
were
the
all
thing
the same
about it,
age.
I was like, he shouldn't even be riding a bike this size at this point. Like, it was a grown bike, but it was like nobody was riding bikes at that point. But I don't know, whatever. That's what he was doing. He wasn't in a
That's
car.
what he was doing that day. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I was so close to them. Like, I can't even count how many fights I had with them. Like, I remember one time Iran cracked a broomstick, like one of them fat broomsticks, like the big old fat old school broomsticks, cracked one over my head. Like just
You
talking.
mean fights with
Like with them, like because we were that much of
against
brothers.
them, or like
Against
with them?
them. Like, yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were that
Him
brotherly.
and Justin, because
No, just him or just Justin or just Bro or just Stone. Like, we were that much of brothers. Like, we would fight sometime. And Iran was like the little BG, always talking. Iran, he always with the mouth.
dude.
Like, he Iran. So he was talking to me and he was like, "Get out my house." I said, "Man, I ain't getting out your house. This Justin house." He's like, "This my house too." He said, "I bet you're gonna get out my house." And I'm not paying attention.
That
He's
sounds
like,
exactly like him.
He's like 14. And he like cracked my bro. He picked that big fat broomstick. He broke it over my head. And like Stone was like, "Oh no, bro, like what we supposed to do?" Justin was like, "Man, let them fight." So we took it to the front yard and I beat Iran ass in the front yard. Like, you finna get it, bro. You just broke a broomstick over my head. Like, what is you doing? Like, his brother was like, "Nah, you finna get it." Like, he Justin let me until Iran, but Iran, he don't never want to give up. So like an hour into the fight, like you hear what I said, an hour into the fight, he still want to fight. I'm like, "All right, Iran, I'm done. I already beat your ass. I won't do it no more." No, I want to keep going. Like, no, like, you retarded. Like, but yeah, he literally broke like two fat broomstick over my head. Like,
listen,
like it broke on my head. I ain't even realized it. Like I was like, "You little bad mother."
Bro, there's two people in my life that were kids where my dad took me and them somewhere, and then they get it and they end up getting in a fight and get the police call. Iran was one of them. We were on the same football team. We were on the Seabrook Sharks. We went to like Hitchcock or Lamarck or somewhere to go play. Guess what happens when we get there? Iran gets in a fight with some dude he knows. I could have been Dickinson. I don't even know where it was, but my dad was like, "Yeah, we're not taking him with us anywhere anymore." I go, I know. And the other one was Andy Webb. When we got in a fight with this, I took him, and no, it was probably just him, to the Fun Time Skating Rink. Shout out to them. I want to go there and party one day. But took him there, and he got in a fight with some, I know who it was, and I won't even say his name. I won't say his name,
funny, bro.
And that was another one there. But he lived down the street from me. And me and Andy almost got in a fight with Justin and Iran one day when we were walking down the street, and that was the first. And when we were super young then, and that was the first time I ever met Justin. That was the first time, and I remember some of us trying to do karate kicks and shit. I think Justin or somebody was trying out, like, I remember it this way. It might not be true, but that's how I remember it. They were like, "You really want it like this?" And it was actually behind their house on that little berm that was there. So,
yeah.
I mean, I have these memories, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I've done. I can tell stories, and like, all right. So my wildest story. Let me tell you my wildest story with Justin. Oh man, I guess we already been incriminated for it. They really can't do nothing about it. All right, so we get kicked out of Creek, right? So we all got kicked out of Creek for robbing Creek, and like we sold the whatever the proceeds. We brought a couple pit bulls, and man, we brought some pit bulls, and for some reason we was gonna fight them. I'm talking about straight Mike Vick in it.
Oh
But
my God.
like straight
That
Mike taking it.
oh
Like, all right, wait. It gets
no,
worse. All right,
I
no, it
don't.
gets worse. So this is before 96 exists. We hit that little back road, man. I don't know where that little turn of that street was, but it's an old man's house over there. This is what we buy to make the dog faster.
In the ridge.
No bull. We go buy a rabbit and a chicken to make the pit bull faster. Oh, bro, I swear, boy, animal rights people are gonna shut me down for this one. All right,
This was in Bay Ridge.
yes, it's in Bay Ridge. It's in the backyard in Bay Ridge.
Justin found somebody who had those animals and was like, "We're gonna go do that."
Yes,
I don't even doubt
found
this.
the chickens and the rabbits. The chickens and rabbits. I don't even think they was in the same place. But we buy a live chicken. And that one's not that bad. You know, it's like Rocky. The dog, you know, we let the chicken go. The dog catch him. Man, he getting faster. Boom. That one went down like gangbusters. Oh, we felt real gangster about it. Our pit bull is going. Oh, I think her name was White. She was named Cocaine or something like that, a white girl or something real gangster. It was real good. We was feeling gangster by ourselves. We like 16 with pit bulls. We're retarded now. But like, the next one was a rabbit. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard a rabbit scream. But at that time, we had not.
I had neighbors with rabbits.
Oh my God! When this dog caught this rabbit, it started to scream, and we didn't know a rabbit scream is the most high pitched, insane car alarm, house alarm thing you could ever hear in life. Like, oh my God, we are losing it. We don't know what to do because now the whole neighborhood knows we're killing rabbits over here. All right, so we finally get
That's
the dog.
not the first time people have killed rabbits, but it's just you're not supposed to kill rabbits that way. You're supposed to, you know, if you're going to eat a rabbit, because I had a neighbor who ate rabbits and they had when I was a kid. But that's not how you kill. You don't do that like what you're talking about.
Hey, we're realizing that in the moment. As I tell you, we did a lot of retarded stuff.
I'm holding back judgment from shit that happened 30 years ago. I know.
It is 30 years ago. Literally 30. Judge me if you want to.
For real. No, I'm not.
But the neighbors are, what are y'all doing? I know what that is. It's a rabbit. Look, so the only thing we could think at this point, because we finally got the rabbit out of the dog's mouth, but the rabbit won't stop screaming. Go get one of our guns and shoot the rabbit. So we go get a gun. So on top of rabbit screams, we ended.
You could have done that with a pellet gun.
A gunshot.
You didn't have to use a real gun, did you?
What? Yes, what? I had a gun. I kept a 25 in my
reach. It doesn't matter.
But I didn't want to use my 25. So we used a legal gun. We went and got his mama's 38. Which we had used it many times before. Sorry, Miss Carol.
That's use your gun. Super old school. You got a 25. That's like, it's hard to even consider that a gun. I mean, a 38, yeah, maybe.
We had I had his
he ain't gonna die, but a rabbit will. A rabbit will.
I think his cousin, man, rest in peace. Man, we used to call him Chete. He had a 380. Man, God dog, boy, I can't think of his name right now, man. It was their cousin. He used to have a Swisher House. We used to go roll up at his Swisher House all the time. Like
a real Swisher House, not the label. That's what.
No, a real Swisher House. Like you could roll Swishers and you roll them as long as you roll and you can smoke. Like that's the stuff we did.
There was one in Dickinson. I maybe have been there before.
It was his cousin, bro.
More than one.
Jerome. His name's Jerome. Rest in peace to Jerome, man. I think Jerome. Yeah, I think he did right now. But man, Jerome. We used to go to Jerome's Swisher House and we would roll all the time. And you as long as you're rolling, you can smoke. And that's what we do. We go roll, sitting there for 2 hours, roll sweets for like, you roll, so it's just spill powder weed, you just rolling sweets, and you just rolling all your sweet, and you smoking, you and then we go buy like a double up and hit the block and go sell that, and then like we come back to a party somewhere. Bro, we was doing like.
I remember 3 for 10s. 3 for 10s were the thing back in the days. 3 for 10s.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the other thing too. We would get a 4 for 10. We call them a win. If you couldn't get a 4 for 10, you weren't connected in the streets. If you couldn't get a 4 for 10, you ain't connected, bro. If I can't get a 4 for 10, then I ain't even like I've been like I don't still mess with them. I'm like, bro, like anybody I mess with, like they've been around it so long. Like I don't mess with like new age people. Like everybody I know, it's been 30 years and they've been doing what they do. And they do what they do like as a business, or they don't. And it is what it is, bro. But most of them providing something to the community at this point, because I know everybody getting green for that, because we didn't grew up getting green from them. And like I tell people all the time, listen, you never gonna see me talking bad about green at all, because like without it, these pins in my hip, I would have been crazy. I'd have been like a Percocet head, or like or I don't know what they give you when you got bad arthritis since you were 16, but I would have been on it by now. I would have been on it. I legitimately got metal in my hip since Clear Creek '92. Like, so
I've got metal in a few places, a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
I've had some things. I'll probably get into all of them at one point or another, but not at this moment, because it's not the right thing. I have a story though, like of just something that happened a day or two ago that I was going to get into. We had a hell of a podcast already just talking about what we talked about. How much time do we have left? Because I
look, I don't even know. It ain't even told me no. We hadn't hit the 10-minute mark. Hey, so we still good. We still good.
You mean the 10 minutes till? We've been going more than 10 minutes, but when we hit the 10-minute mark, that means we have 10 minutes left. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hadn't seen that yet. So
let me go ahead and go into mine if you'd like.
Go ahead.
So this is just a kind of a ridiculous, just a couple of things that happened on an evening, not yesterday, but the night before, that I think speaks to the state of the world, and not necessarily just our area, but because it's much worse in other places, but just the general decline of things and whatnot, and just a little night that I had going to Baybrook Mall. Ready?
Baybrook Mall, like, yeah. Okay. Wait. I'm gonna have to request a bathroom break before we go to Baybrook Mall, because really gangster stuff, the people we have happened at Baybrook Mall. I've seen helicopters at Baybrook Mall.
Yeah,
and people we know. But I'm gonna request.
Let me do this one, and we won't have time, but we can go wrap around at another podcast and talk about gangster things. But I have two stories. Go to the bathroom. I have two stories that intersect at the same time. So I wish I could tell them separately, but I'm going to tell them as one. Go to the bathroom.
You start that one. I'm going to come right back.
Okay, I'll start it off. So I live near not near Baybrook Mall, but I grew up going to Baybrook Mall. I live maybe 5 minutes from there now, so closer than where I grew up. That was the local mall. It's a thriving mall. It's owned by Simon now. It's always been a good mall. Despite other malls declining in the Houston area, Baybrook's been a good one. In fact, it's actually had a recent expansion, somewhat recent, where they added like Gloria's and Bar Louie and Fogo de Chao's coming, and Maggiano's, and a bunch of restaurants and stuff that are actually part of that flow into the mall, along with a bunch of outdoor shops that actually link up with the original mall, which is enclosed. And I don't enjoy malls, but at one point I worked at the Galleria, so I learned how it's fun sometimes, if you're a social creature, to integrate yourself into these places. So I can appreciate a good mall, and I'd say Baybrook Mall is probably the best. Maybe people would say Memorial City is a good one, or Woodlands. Baybrook's a decent mall these days.
It's second in Houston, but like I used to work
square footage. It's right behind the Galleria, and I beg to differ. I think it's actually got more square footage walking.
But let me tell you, like I worked at the Men's Warehouse right there at Baybrook Mall for 2 years. So I worked right there at 1117 is the number. That's how much I worked there. It's the big store for the whole region. So it whoops every store's butt in Men's Warehouse, like always has right there. But I was there when it was popping. But it's so that I know those stores at that mall compete in the region with every other stores, every region wide. So if you're at Baybrook Mall, you popping. So
that's going to lead right into this. That's going to lead right into this. All right, so I'll quit.
All right, so look, you had 8 minutes now.
Okay, let me go. So very quick. I had actually, been. I'll forget the prologue. I went to the mall because I decided I was gonna probably go like sit down at the bar and have a drink somewhere at one of the restaurants that I just mentioned, like out there to just try to have some fun. So I pulled up maybe at like 7:30, and I parked over there, but I also wanted to walk through like the whole thing and get some extra steps in because I'm trying to go crazy. So I go, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a loop around here and I'm going to walk through the inside of the mall and all that. And I'm just going to check it out. And then, probably come back out and then go, just kind of scope everything out. And then I'll go find a place and I'll go sit down. But as I'm walking through, I'm thinking, I'm in thought. And I thought about how I had sat at, I dropped my truck off at Discount Tire on Bay Area, which is in that same little vicinity earlier that week. And I walked down to Stomp's Burger and I walked up and down Bay Area. And I just, because I'm kind of into walking and I think that's a good way to enjoy life is to do things you wouldn't normally do. So I'm walking along, but I also noticed that there's more and more, homeless people around this area that you didn't necessarily have it before, but it's everywhere and it's not excessive, but you just see it.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily see it when you're driving. You see it more when you're walking. I go down to Stomp's Burger. I've got my backpack on, my computer and whatnot. And I come back, nothing about that, but I'm thinking about that as I'm walking through Baybrook Mall the other night. And I'm also thinking about all the other stores on the periphery and how there's more stuff. And I go, if I was ever really down bad and I lost my place and I didn't have anywhere to go, first, if I was homeless, I would be around here because I can make it happen around here. And there's just a lot and you can move around and you can hide and this and that. And this is in my head. And this is also as I'm walking through the food court and, they're giving me a shrimp and then they're giving me this and that. I'm like, free food. I walk through the food court, 4 people have given me free food. And that further makes me think this. And so at this point, I'm walking by the Caps and Corks and that's a little bar right there. And I know all the girls that work there. I've met them before and I go, it's 7:45. I'm going to stop and just see who's there. And I'm not going to say her name, but one of the girls that works there. And I walk up and there's the only thing I notice is there's one other dude there, a red-haired guy. He's holding a little puppy, but he's off to the side. But I say hi to her and I stand there for a minute and all of a sudden to the right of me, this hot mess of a chick just kind of bumps into me and she's like, that's the only way I could describe it. She was like, are you looking for, did you order the stripper? And I go, I look and she's a mess, man. She's like, she just, the only thing I can really, that I remember about seeing her is she had messed up makeup on. She was a mess. And, I go, I did not order the stripper. And she goes, well, there's a guy that I'm supposed to meet here. And I'm not sure where he is. And at this point, the guy off to my side has gone and he has nothing to do with this, but he was gone. But I was thinking it might've been him. And I go, no, I go, I'm the only one here. She goes, well, I wish I was supposed to meet somebody here. She goes, I wish it was you. She goes,
it's never fun when a stripper say, I wish it was you.
Right. Oh, I knew I found one. And I go, it's funny that you say that. I go, because we're actually, I go, do you work at the Ritz by any chance? Because we're actually about to work on that guy's house tomorrow because it was supposed to be yesterday. She goes, I work at a bunch of different places. I go, okay, great. She goes, well, here, she goes, well, what are you doing later? I go, nothing. I go, she goes, well, take my number. She goes, I want your number. She goes, are you on Instagram? I go, no, I'm not on, because I'm not. I go, I'm not on Instagram. She goes,
I like how you clarified that you would not lie to the drunken stripper who's begging you for your number. Like, I would lie
turns
to
out
her.
she was borrowed.
Like, no, I'm not on Instagram. I'm lying to her.
She throws her phone down. She goes, listen, she throws her phone down. I go, whatever. I put my phone out. I typed her number in. I go. She goes, okay. She goes, I'm gonna send you some of my stuff. I'm gonna send you my OnlyFans. I go, I'm not on OnlyFans, but at that point, and this is all within the matter of seconds. And like the bartender doesn't even see this happen. And like it's very quick, and then she goes off, and I don't even look at her. I'm just like, I'm laughing, and I look up, I go, did you see what just happened? She goes, did that hooker come by? She goes, she's working. She goes,
she is called a sex worker, not a hooker.
But I'm like, when did we get hookers at Baybrook Mall? When did we get hookers?
Everywhere. They're everywhere, man. Everywhere, bro. They're everywhere. All right, well, we got like 2 minutes.
Okay. Shit. Okay, well, there's more. Okay, so at that point, I'd start talking to the girl who works there. She goes, did you see the guy I was talking to that was holding the dog? I go, yeah. She goes, he's homeless. He lives here. And I go, I was thinking about that, how lucrative of a place this would be. Long story short, since I have 2 minutes, I ended up sitting down and talking to the guy because he came back. I didn't talk to him about what his situation was, but he told me anyway. He's from Florida. He's about my age, white dude, red hair. That's how I remember him. Tattoos, cool guy, relatively, but he was stuck in the hurricane, and one of the hurricanes in Florida, and his people told him, you can't, wherever we go after this, our shit's torn down, but wherever we go, you can't come with us. So he had a friend on El Dorado, and he goes, however we got here, get on a bus. He goes, I go, why did you come here? He goes, because there's a big mall nearby, and I know I can live here.
Wait. All right, so you literally are telling me this podcast is about where you can live if you're homeless.
He lives behind the Container Store. He has a tent.
Don't give up his home. You can't give out his address.
No.
That's like
people know this. No. People know this. Like, it's not, I'm not, this is, the thing is, he exists there, and it's allowed, and it's cool. It's not cool, but this is what he says. I don't panhandle. I don't steal, except for Walmart. He goes, I go down, that's where I steal from, and that's how I make my money. But I don't ask people for money, and people give me things. And wow. I did not ask him like what his plan is or anything in the long run. But the bartender girl goes, did you know that there's light plugs underneath like a lot of these plants outside where you can charge your iPod? I go, no, I didn't. She goes, well, he told me that. My thing was
for the day.
I would if I was down bad.
I go to my hobby. It smell like trouble.